Can states cooperate even without a global hegemon to enforce the rules? And what happens when there's no hegemon to lead the way? In an earlier video, we explored hegemonic stability theory, which argues that the establishment and maintenance of a global order depends on a dominant power to set and enforce the rules. But here, we turn to an alternative and more hopeful view, regime theory, which suggests that international cooperation is possible even in an anarchic world and even without a hegemon, as long as the institutions and shared expectations are in place. In international relations, a regime refers to a set of principles, norms, rules, and decision-making procedures around which states coordinate their expectations and behavior in a given issue area. That's the classic definition offered by Stephen Krasner, and it's still widely used today. Regimes can be formal, like the World Trade Organization, or informal, like shared norms around diplomatic immunity or nuclear deterrence. In this case, they tend to revolve around a broader web of shared understandings and practices that help manage international behavior in a given domain, like arms control or human rights. But regardless of their exact form, regimes help structure expectations, reduce uncertainty, and provide a framework for cooperation. Regime theory is grounded in neoliberal institutionalism, a branch of IR theory that accepts the realist assumptions about the international system as anarchic, but argues that cooperation is still possible. For them, institutions help mitigate anarchy and facilitate such cooperation, and regimes help states overcome barriers to cooperation by reducing transaction costs, providing information and transparency, establishing shared norms, monitoring compliance, and facilitating issue linkage and repeated interaction. In short, regimes help solve the problems of trust and uncertainty that often prevent cooperation, even when cooperation would benefit everyone. And they also shift the focus from relative gains, who gains more, to absolute gains, do we both gain something? But realists are skeptical of this optimistic take. They argue that regimes don't cause cooperation, they simply reflect the interests of powerful states, and when those interests change, the regimes fall apart. They point to real-world examples, like the U.S. withdrawal from trade agreements and Russia's suspension of arms control treaties, as evidence that powerful states will abandon regimes when the costs outweigh the benefits. But neoliberal institutionalists like Robert Cohen counter that regimes can persist even without hegemonic enforcement. That's because states come to value the stability and predictability that institutions provide. They build habits of cooperation, and they worry about the reputational costs if they break the rules. As Cohen puts it, even great powers are affected by diffuse responsibility, the idea that restraint today builds trust and future cooperation tomorrow. And as a result, even if institutions don't eliminate power politics, they nevertheless structure and constrain it, making cooperation more likely over time. And we can see this play out in the real world. The World Trade Organization, and before it the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, or GATT, provided the rules that regulate international trade and reduce the likelihood of trade wars. Its dispute resolution panels historically offered a peaceful way to handle disagreements, but that system is currently under strain, largely resulting from U.S. resistance to appointing new judges. As a result, the WTO shows both the power of regimes and their limits. The Paris Agreement, negotiated under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the UNFCCC, provides a flexible framework for global cooperation. It relies on nationally determined contributions, or NDCs, and voluntary reporting. No formal enforcement, but shared norms and transparency drive participation. And the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, aims to limit the spread of nuclear weapons. It rests on three pillars: non-proliferation, disarmament, and peaceful nuclear energy. And while not perfect, the NPT has fostered monitoring, dialogue, and facilitated a broad norm against nuclear proliferation. These regimes don't guarantee cooperation, but they do raise the cost of non-cooperation, clarify expectations, and promote trust over time. For many, in a world where U.S. hegemony is in decline and where no single power is stepping in to lead, regime theory offers a hopeful message. It suggests that even without a hegemon, cooperation can survive and thrive if there are strong institutions and norms available. But regimes are under strain. Nationalism and populism are challenging global rules. multilateralism is on the defensive, and even long-standing regimes like the WTO are struggling to function. Still, regimes persist in climate negotiations, global health coordination, and in emerging areas like AI governance. And perhaps even more striking, when states break the rules, they still try to justify it within the language of the regime, a sign that norms still matter. But that's it for now. As always, please leave any questions you have in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.